guys, my name is Vixon, and today we are going to be looking at some scary stories. And make sure to like and subscribe. I can't talk very well because I'm really ill, and this mic is really bad because it's like a new mic. Alright, let's get on to the story by Wansee Entertainment. Shout out to him.
My name is Kai. When I was 17, me and my friends were hanging out one night and decided to watch a movie, making some popcorn. The movie was a hilarious thing. We had a good time laughing and eating popcorn and other snacks. But when the movie was done, it was around 11:30 p.m. It already turned to pitch black outside. One of my friends, we'll call him Spencer, suggested that it would be a good idea to play a game of Spotlight. Spotlight is basically hide and seek, but in the dark, and the seeker has a flashlight. Where I live, my house is in a cul-de-sac, and if you walk down a little path in the backyard, you end up at a long street. Across that street, there's a giant field that used to have a basketball court and a playground, but it's been torn down since I was 8.
Who puts
So
a
now
basketball
the giant
court and a
field was
playground
just
together?
empty. But there were a lot of bushes and hiding spots, and even a little cornfield, which made it perfect for a game like Spotlight. So we grabbed a few flashlights and headed to the field. After playing a giant game of rock, paper, scissors, it was decided that another friend, we'll call him Braden, was going to be the seeker. So me and Spencer went to hide together in the cornfield, since it would be hard to find someone in there. While I believe 4 other friends,
in a
John,
cornfield?
Ethan, Liam, and my brother Cameron, went to hide all separately in different places in the field. For some information that'll be needed later on in the story, Spencer was 17, John and Ethan were 16, Braden and Cameron and Liam were 14. Once me and Spencer got comfortable in the cornfields, we started just to talk about random stuff and about the movie we watched earlier. Just as I told Spencer a joke and he started laughing, I put my finger to my lips and told him to shut up because I could hear someone rummaging through the corn and stomping on leaves. We both just sat there thinking it was Braden and hoping that he would find us. I then realized that it sounded like multiple people. Then Spencer said, "Wait, isn't Braden the only seeker?" My heart dropped. I began getting scared but tried not to say anything. I could also see that Spencer was scared too, and I bet he was about to shit his pants. Just then we heard the men speaking to each other, and they didn't sound like any of our friends. So it was confirmed that there were 2 other men in the cornfields with us. They were talking very quietly, but I could hear some words. Boys, snatch, just like that. I felt like time stopped. About a minute later, we heard them walk off, and I'm going to assume that they left the cornfield. But after the 2 men left, we heard someone yelling, "Get the fuck away from me! Help!"
Oh, God.
It sounded like Cameron. Me and Spencer immediately rushed out of the cornfields and went to find Cameron. Just then, everyone else came out of their hiding spots and went after the 2 men. Spencer and John were the tallest and most muscular, so they went in and beat the shit out of him.
Oh, God.
John put one in a headlock and threw him to the ground.
Damn.
Then, one man sprang at Spencer suddenly. Spencer screamed and took out his large pocket knife he always has with him,
Oh,
and
God.
then stabbed him 3 times.
Oh, God.
As they proceeded to beat them, I went to Cameron, helped him to get up, and yelled for everyone to run. Spencer listened and shoved the guy to the ground, but John didn't listen and continued beating the man. After Spencer pulled John off the man, they both finally ran away.
God.
We went back to Spencer's house since it was the closest, and we told everything to his mom, and then she called the police. When the police arrived, we led them down to the field, but of course the men were gone. However, there was still some blood left on the path where Spencer stabbed one of the men, so the police took a sample of it. Once me and Cameron got home, he told me that the man Spencer attacked had a knife, but the other had nothing. I was feeling a little uncomfortable about what we'd done for our self-protection at the cornfield, but then I realized that was a good thing Spencer attacked the man with the knife, because if John tried to attack that man, he could have been stabbed to death as he had no weapon. I'm just thankful none of my friends were hurt that evening. It could have ended much worse. After that, we never heard back from the police. So neither of the men was found.
Oh, okay. Wow. But I have some, like, I don't know. It's just something weird. Alright, first of all, who hides in a cornfield? This isn't Fortnite.
It'd be hard to find
This
someone.
isn't Fortnite. You can't hide in a cornfield. They won't even try and find you. Second of all,
Needed later on in the story, Spencer was 17.
he's 17,
John and Ethan
playing
were
with
16.
16 people.
Braden, Cameron, and Liam were 14.
You 17 or 16, you play 14-year-old? Who the hell are you? Alright, but I'm not gonna lie, this was a good, scary story, alright? Alright, and on to the next one. Alright, here's the next story. It's The Bridge by Llama Arts, one of my favorite scary story YouTube channels. Oh god.
So this story takes place when I was about 16 years old.
They're all
At my
teenagers.
school, I played for the volleyball team, and every year we would go to a camp and do volunteer work for this guy. The camp was in the middle of nowhere. When we got to the camp, we immediately started to work until 8 p.m. This was around October, so it was already dark at 8. My two friends and I were sitting around the fire, trying to figure out something we could do so we
Who
weren't
did
so
they
bored.
come with?
We heard that there was a small river down the hill from the camp, and we thought we could check it out. The problem is that it was some guy's property, and the owner of the camp told us to not disturb him since the guy was a little strange. We weren't really supposed to leave the camp, but being 16 years old, we loved breaking the rules.
Teenagers.
We walked about 10 minutes in the camp
Of
and finally
course.
reached the river. It was bigger than we expected, and there was a large wooden bridge that crossed it. The bridge was about 20 feet long and was big enough to let a truck go over it. My two friends and I decided to go under the bridge and check it out. As we were walking by the shoreline, we saw two headlights off in the distance moving towards the bridge, so we bolted underneath it and hid. We then heard the truck roll over our heads into the other side. My friends and I chilled there for a while, just talking and throwing rocks in the water. It was about 8:30 at this time, and now it was pretty much pitch black. That's when we started to hear a slow rumble in the distance. The same truck had come back, and this time it was moving much slower. We stayed put under the bridge, stifling our laughter. Eventually, the truck moved over the bridge, but rather than going over to the other side, the truck stopped right on top of us. The only thing you could hear was the rushing water and the hum of the engine. Then, the door of the truck swung open, and out came a loud thump on top of the bridge. Then we heard a loud scream saying, "I know you're out there! I'm gonna find you!" I looked at my friends, and they were both shaking in fear. This must have been the crazy property owner, and he seemed pissed that we were on his land. He started screaming and saying he was gonna hurt us if he finds us. We could see that he had a flashlight and was swinging it around looking for us.
Holy crap, you guys
We
are
heard
dead.
loud thumps as he walked around a little bit, calling out for us, and thank God he never went under the bridge. Eventually, it went silent, and it sounded as if he went back into his truck. I was too terrified to move. We sat there for about 10 minutes, and then my one friend, who we'll call Trevor, whispered in my ear, saying that we have to go. I gave him a quick nod, and in slow motion, we moved out from under the bridge.
Slow
We
motion.
started to army crawl on the shoreline of the river, and I remember looking behind me to see the top of the bridge. I saw a white Ford F-150. In the driver's seat was the man, staring right at me with a sinister smile, and he even gave me a little wave. At that moment, I screamed and ran. My friends saw me run and took off after me.
Oh god,
I
he's
could
coming.
hear screaming from behind us. I took a quick glance behind me and saw that he was chasing after us, and I couldn't quite make out the object in his
Holy
hand.
crap.
It seemed to be a weapon of some sort.
Holy
We ran
crap.
into the forest and ducked behind a bush.
What the heck is
It was
wrong
pitch
with him?
black in the forest, and we couldn't hear a thing. We sat there for a while, just shaking. The man never walked by us, and we never heard him.
Lucky.
After we gathered our courage, we got up and walked back to camp, got into our tents, and tried to fall asleep. The next morning, we talked to the camp owner about the man that owned the property of the river. The camp owner said that he didn't know much about the man, but he knows that he has some mental problems and he'd been accused of assault. I am so happy that we were able to escape from underneath the bridge. I can't imagine what would have happened if he caught us.
Wow. Alright, that was a good scary story. I don't have anything bad or anything wrong with it. And yeah, that was pretty good. Alright, on to the next one. Alright guys, we're back, and today, this is another day. The last day we had no electricity, but yeah, it's a new day. And yeah, we have this scary story by Snarled, Bulgarian Samodiva. Sorry if I said that wrong. I don't know if I did.
Code Siren.
Code Siren. Oh.
The following is inspired by a true story from Alex, whose father Vasil served in the Bulgarian People's Army in 1982. Vasil was 18 when he was sent for 2 years of military service, starting in 1982. He was dispatched to a border post along the defensive line between Bulgaria and Turkey. His job was border guard, and his main duty was to patrol the electrified border fence. Mostly, it was to make sure nobody left the country during a time of severe restriction of movement under the communist government.
Oh, God.
His orders were to shoot on sight.
Holy crap.
No exceptions.
No exceptions.
One night, he and his best friend
God,
Ivan
what the
were
hell?
patrolling the border as usual with their dog. Ivan was a far senior soldier, much larger and stronger than Vasil, with a kind of look only veteran soldiers had. He described the night as still and cold, and the moon shone through the clear sky during the night. There was a light breeze that whistled faintly across the open plains between the two borders. All was well and normal, and their routine patrol was near their end. Much like most days, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, and the two men started to make their way back to the camp. They were almost back to base when, all of a sudden, Ivan started.
What the hell? Internet connection interruption. We'll be back soon. Guys, we're back with short intermission thing. Yeah, I don't know what it's called. But yeah, let's get on with the story.
He turned his head to the darkness. Do you hear that? Vasil stopped to listen, and his eyes widened as he heard what sounded like singing. The two men listened and listened as the singing continued and seemingly became louder. Vasil stood still, yearning to know who was singing so beautifully. Then, their dog started to growl, softly at first, until it started barking furiously as the singing came closer and closer. Ivan grabbed Vasil. "Listen to me very carefully," he said. "I need you to run back to checkpoint B, get on the radio, and call for reinforcements. Tell them code siren. They'll know what you mean." "What? Why?" "Do as I say, do you understand?"
Code Siren.
"All this over some singing? This isn't the Turks or the Americans. This is much more serious than that. Now go!" By this time, the singing had become so loud it was almost unnerving, as if the source was as close as a few meters away. Vasil looked around in panic, gripping his rifle in fear and confusion. Vasil started to run. He knew that the checkpoint was less than a kilometer away and that he would make it there in a few minutes if he really ran for it. Behind him, he heard the barking and the growling of their dog change into whimpers and cries, which was followed by bursts of automatic fire that ripped through the night air. The fire sustained until he had finally reached the radio at the checkpoint. "Checkpoint B to base? Checkpoint B to base. We have a situation here. Code siren. I repeat, code siren. Requesting immediate reinforcements. Over."
"Base to checkpoint B. Reinforcements are inbound. What is your status update? Over."
As the response came, the gunfire continued, followed by a scream, as if from a young woman in pain. Vasil stood petrified, his hands trembling. I don't know. My comrade is currently engaging. I don't know what's going on." He shouted into the radio, desperately hoping for some help. A cracked response from the radio came. Vasil struggled to make out the words as the gunfire continued on in the distance. Then, a man's scream, and the gunfire stopped. Total silence.
God.
as the broken message of the radio became nothing but static.
Oh God.
Basil began to panic, wondering whether to help Ivan or to wait for reinforcements. He stood there and listened carefully, but nothing. Only silence. Then suddenly, the singing. The
Oh
most
God, not
beautiful
again.
sound he's ever heard in his life. Basil jumped, shouldering his rifle and aiming into the darkness.
Who's
Frantically,
singing?
he aimed his rifle in different directions as the singing grew louder and louder.
Oh, I'm
His
breathing
breathing
so
became faster
heavy.
and
My
disjointed.
breathing is getting
His
heavy.
heart pounded like a drum. The singing came closer and closer, filling his eardrums until nothing.
Nothing.
Silence again.
Oh
He
God.
looked around and listened, trying to see or hear anything.
Whoever's
he
watching
could.
this video, get ready for a jump scare. It's gonna happen.
Then he saw it. A woman with blonde hair that glistened under the moonlight, wearing a white dress, stood no less than 300 meters in front of him. She was unbelievably beautiful. Basil flinched, bending down on one knee and aiming his rifle. The woman remained still, evidently not fazed by his threats. "Hey, you! Stop there or I'll shoot!" No response.
Nope.
He wondered, why would she be here? By herself, on the border? Was she a spy? Or a defector? Maybe I should go over there and talk to her. No! He re-aimed his rifle. Her eyes glowed in
Holy
the shadows
crap.
like a cat's in the night.
Maybe I should go
The
in to
eerie
talk
yellow
to
hue was both
a
terrifying.
woman that came out of nowhere.
Maybe she needs my help. No! He shouted at her. "Last chance! You surrender or you die!" Again, no response. He opened fire. A full magazine later, and the woman was lying on the floor, dead. He went to examine
Dead.
the corpse just as reinforcements turned up. But when he got up close, there was no body. No blood trails, no drag marks, nothing. Where did she go? Neither Ivan's nor the dog's bodies were ever found, either. What was found were bullet casings and Ivan's rifle left in the mud. The next morning, Basil told his mother about what had happened. She gave him a tight hug. "Do you realize how much danger you were in? You encountered a Samodiva." According to his mother, they are ancient Bulgarian nymphs that seduce men with their enticing singing voices. Once they lock them in a trance, they take them away as slaves and torture them to death.
Oh God.
Had it not been for Ivan,
Oh
you would
God.
not have lived to tell this tale. Oh, I'm so happy you're safe.
Holy. Oh, I'm breathing so deeply. Alright, first of all, like, where is that? I don't know. Like, when he encountered her, he just said,
No response.
it's like, hey, come here, listen.
The woman remained still.
Like,
Evidently
I could
not
hear his
fazed by
fear.
his threats. "Hey, you! Stop there or I'll shoot!" No response.
If someone tells you stop or I'll shoot, you know they're afraid of you. But not to lie, this was a good something scary voice now. It was a good story. Right? And yeah. Make sure to like or subscribe for more of these something scaries or any other scary stories. And yeah, see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.